Comrades, I am Admiral Andre and welcome back to the second part of our 7th and last US mission in the Transport Fever campaign. I'll just let the clock run while we quickly run over the situation and basically just pick up where we left off last time. So yes, the last thing that we did was just to create the line here to take stone to the construction manufacturing plant here, or construction materials manufacturing plant, so that could be delivered to the secret facility here that's run by Boeing. And this is just the Seattle rocket factory, so it already gives away really what it's about. But we already knew that just from the description of this mission. It is called the space race after all. So let me just turn this red deficit numbers off here. It's not really the nicest thing to see. I noticed last time already, but it's even more apparent now, we're not keeping up with our passenger demand. Even just inside the city of Seattle, for example, we can see there is quite a number of people waiting. What's this bus doing? It's full already. So let's add a few buses to the city and then we'll see what's needed in the others as well. So let's say 3 buses. And this is just for the Seattle City bus. What's happening for the Airport Express? No one is waiting there, so at least we're doing fine there. Of course, as you can see here, our demand for, especially Victoria for some reason, this must be the Vancouver plane, yes, so it just left. We're not quite keeping up with our air passenger demand, which is of course a major source of income for us. The same thing here, there's 28 people waiting to go to Seattle, fewer waiting to go to Victoria, but I assume the plane left relatively recently. Let's see, where is it? Oh, it doesn't matter specifically. Let's just have a look at this one. So this is now where the people are waiting to go to Victoria. So again, we're not keeping up with that. We can just add some of the older planes like the Super Constellation, which is a valid thing because the distances here are not so great. And the speed is of course not on the level of the Comet, but still, it's almost 500, so it won't be terrible. And if we just keep the numbers of planes limited, then I think we'll be okay, because I don't want too many planes landing and taking off at one place, because there's always that clash happening if the one just enters the runway a moment before the other one. So I'll do this. Let's buy 2. Why not? Just get some more income and hopefully spur some more people on to travel by air. So I'll buy 2 here. They are luckily not so expensive. And just give me the first one. So this one is going to go Victoria and Vancouver. And then this one is going to go Victoria, Seattle. There we go. So there's only one more needed for the Seattle-Vancouver line, which I can just purchase here in Seattle. And that will take a lot of our money already. So let's see, Seattle to Vancouver. So now we have 2 planes running on each route, meaning that we'll have 4 planes serving 1 airport, which is about the ideal number, I would say. I wouldn't want more than that, not at this stage. So the numbers in the city of Seattle look better now. Well, there's still a lot of demand, but hopefully the buses will help. I think here in Victoria we can also add a few more of these twin coaches. Let's see, Victoria City Bus. And of course, if it's warranted here in Vancouver, not really. We don't see double figures waiting. So I'm okay with leaving that as it is. However, as I mentioned last time, there is this automatic sort of money maker for us lying outside of Vancouver, so let's make use of it. The farmers here are eager to sell their goods and we are very eager to profit from that, so why not? I'll just put one of these basic truck stops here and then another one right by the processing plant. Let's just have a look at the location here. Okay, the terrain is a bit uneven, so maybe if I put it a bit more towards the city, as long as it's still within range, I don't have a problem. There we go, that's fine. For the delivery, of course, we now know the trick that we can use, and that is to just deliver the food to the normal bus stops instead of another truck stop like that. And this will basically cover the whole city, so I'll just order them to drop it off there.
We've been able to acquire some shares in the Boeing Aircraft Company, and now also know what's being produced in the secret production facility. It concerns nothing less than the conquest of space. And it's about time, too. The Russians have already launched several satellites into space, one of them even with a dog on board. In order for the U.S. to keep up with the exploration of the infinite expanses, the World Fair in Seattle is dedicated completely to space exploration. Leading rocket scientists will gather at a Congress during the expo, and we have the honor of bringing the lady and gentleman scientists to their quarters.
Great, so this is something I know about, the satellite Sputnik 2 with Laika. I recreated that in my Kerbal episode, or one of them anyway, and then I also played with that in the Buzz Aldrin series, so this is familiar to me. Anyway, we have to bring 100 people to the conference center over the next 1,095 days, so we've got a couple of years, but I just put it on pause so we don't waste days while I listen to this description. So let's have a look. If I click on the conference center, it will show us where we have to go. And it's up here, the Seattle Ski Resort, even though it's summer right now, so there's no snow. I don't think, is this? No, this is pretty much winter in the northern hemisphere, so there should be snow, but you know, for the purposes of the map, it doesn't matter. So there is no connection to the rest of the network, and that will be the first order of business. We can say there is some kind of road running up here, but it's a private one, so we're not allowed to use it, because I don't see how you could have a hotel and not have a road running to it. So let me have a look. If I put the gradient up, now that's just transport people, so they don't say from where, just people in general. And they've used the old trick that we saw many times before now, for example with the Indianapolis race track, of just making this a very attractive commercial site, and that is what draws the people. So if we just think about the mechanics, that's basically how it works, even though we pretend it's for the conference. So I can just make a connection to this road here, and we'll just bring people from Seattle. Of course, there's no other road connection unless we want to build one all the way to Vancouver, but that's why we have the air industry here. They can fly, and that will stimulate some more demand for the airline, which is then a good thing that we purchased those new planes. So let's do this. 60 kilometers, I think for now that will be okay. So I'll just build it. I'll try to follow, if I can now, without upsetting things too much, the sort of contour of this hillside. Unfortunately, there will be some earthworks happening here. That is a bit much. Oh well, it's one of those mountain passes. And then let's see, from this point, luckily there is no nature reserve right here, so we don't need to worry about that. So they'll have a bit of a scenic drive here through the forest. It's a bit of an elevated road, but that's okay. You might hear the parrot in the background. It's that time of day when he's very lively, so he's adding his 2 cents. Okay, there we go. That's it. Very simple, just a straight road running to the conference center, and of course we now just need a bus stop. We can of course take a tram system up here, but I don't think that's really warranted at this point anyway. Of course you're free to do that if you would like. So let's put shall we put a station up here? Is that really worth it? I don't want to mess the terrain up too much right here by the hotel. No, let's just put a normal stop right before the hotel, and then the buses can just turn around and return to the city. So I'll just put a line up now, new line, and that will be from the conference in Franklin Street back to downtown. So it doesn't matter which side of the road they use, the system can decide. So I'll just say here, this is the ski resort. Just so that we know. Of course I can't spell right now. There we go. So I think let's just let the clock run and I'll buy some buses and get this thing going. This will become very popular and it will remain popular through the duration of this mission. So we can add some more buses and just basically use this as another source of income. Let's have a look. No one will show up for a while, but it will happen. There's some people waiting for the airport express. EMD GP9. So for myself now, this will be one of the few missions where I won't be using a train system. Of course, again, it depends on your personal preference. For example, the food one here could have been a possible train system, but again, for me, this distance does not really warrant it. So that was the other thing I was busy with. Let me just create this quickly. So pick up the food there and then drop off at the manufacturing plant. I'll just say food. There's no other food on the map. Well, actually no, this is before the food. So I'll say produce. Whatever that might be. And of course livestock will be included there. And then from here we get the food. And where was that stop? That's just this one right here in downtown. Central Street is very appropriately named. So that's just food. Great. So I can just put some vehicles, and I think the Studebaker is 60, so the road is 60. That's perfect. So I'll get some grain on here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Doesn't matter again, just a couple. And produce. And then I also want some livestock. I just like to mix it up. And also on produce, and then I think this is also the one that takes the final food.
The money is
okay.
through our fingers, people. We'll soon be bankrupt. But if we're prepared to grovel on our hands and knees, our financiers will grant us a bridge loan.
Not necessary. Again, it's something to keep if you really need it. There's nothing wrong with that. None of our mission requirements or medals say that we're not allowed to take out loans, so it's not a problem. I just think this is a lovely place to live here right on this river. Fantastic. So this will also become another source of income. You can see immediately the goods are starting to wait there. So yes, I think this was a good move. Let's see what else is happening. Days remaining, so no one has been moved to the conference center yet. But we're doing well with the construction materials, at least. Let's see, this is a busy place. So some people are now waiting for the ski resort, so at least that is busy now. So where are you? 0, of course. For some reason, I did the same thing last time. I just make these vehicles white because, you know, they're going to a ski resort, so they should look a bit different. Of course, that would not probably be the best thing for visibility in snow. You don't want to make your vehicles blend in so that they run people over. But anyway, it's just for this mission. And yes, that was another thing I noticed. And having played this through, I know it to be the case. You can see there is another mission-specific building. It looks just like the hotel. Once you know you can't click on something, you know something is going up there or something's up. So yes, we'll learn about that in time. Let's just see. Construction materials are being shipped quite briskly, which is great. And we still have quite a long while with the mission for the people. Let's jump on this plane if I can get it. Nope. Just a bit too fast for me. Decent numbers. Great. Wow, look at this. You see. City bus. Okay, mostly it's still internal to the city, but quite a number now want to travel between cities, and some are starting to take an interest in the ski resort. And there is someone, maybe somebody has been brought. Yes, 6 people. So they just want to go home now. They've come to the conference and they've done what they needed to do, so they are ready to leave. Machine factory, we will need this. And everything else. We'll basically need all of the resources that's on the map for this mission. Let's see, what else? So there's steel, there's iron, the coal is down here, there's oil, there is an oil processing or refinery, plastic, there's the plastic manufacturing plant. So yes, you can see there's a loop here that they basically set up for us to use. But for now we just basically get our money from the passengers and somewhat as well from the stone now. It's almost done. Then we'll move on to the next phase. No food yet. Quite a hold up here. There we go, got you now. Let's fly for a while with this plane.
We will develop the rockets that will take the first men to the moon, as long as the Russians don't get there before us. They've already sent the first man into orbit and, unlike the dog, brought him back alive as well. The rocket prototypes need to be ready for use as soon as possible so that we can finally put an American into orbit in space too. Let's help in obtaining the necessary measuring equipment for the testing facility.
So that's where the machines come in that we were just looking at. So we need to deliver 100 machines to the production facility. I'm wondering now, I think we're a little bit ahead of schedule here. The Russians already sent the first man in orbit. That was a bit later, in 1960, 1961 if I'm not mistaken. So maybe that's a good omen then, that we should be able to manage this mission within time. Which is surprisingly what happened with the last scenario. That's basically the first time that I managed to get it under the time limit. Anyway, so this is where we're going to make the machines. So let me just place another of these truck stops right here. Just line it up nicely. So what do we need? We need a lot of planks and steel, or steel and plastic. So this is where we must make a choice now. Or is the choice made for us? No, the choice is made for us. There's no planks or wood on this map, which is surprising given that this is in the northwest. But anyway, so it has to be plastic. Steel on its own is not going to be enough. Or it is actually. No, but that's not for machines. That's only for tools. So we must have plastic. So let's do that first. And to do that, of course, we just need to access the oil here. Now again, here you could build a train line if you would like, but I'm just going to stick with the trucks. And I know you can pull it off because I did this already, but I didn't do it under the time limit, I think. There we go. So this will give us oil, which then gets turned into plastic down here. So there's no grain other than up right there in Canada, which is a bit too far. It's going to take way too long to bring that down here. So we have to basically make use of the oil. Okay, so we've done, also just before I do anything else, we've done the construction materials, so we need to redivert the trucks now, so otherwise it's just a waste and the whole line is going to shut down. So I'll just say construction materials, but instead of dropping it off at the Seattle sidings, where is a stop that covers the industrial area? That one, Locust Street. So we'll take sidings off and I'll add Locust Street, so it'll just drop it off there, but the line will still continue, which is of course great for profit. So let's see, now I just have to set up this oil system here. So we pick up the oil down here, then we drive up quite a long distance, I admit, to the Seattle halt. So this is just crude, I'll say crude oil. Then there is another line to pick it up from the refinery and take it down over this bridge to the plastics plant. So this will just be oil. And then one final line to just pick the plastic up here and take it to the final processing plant for the machines. So I'll say plastic here. So this is a very complex line, to be honest, because now we still have to add the steel as well. So then after that, okay, let's do that first. So let's see. If we just add one of these here as well, so this is where the steel will be made. And then of course we will need the coal from down here. Just something like that. Then we also need the iron from this side. Now here is a place where we can certainly improve the efficiency of the existing infrastructure. If I just put it around there. So if the iron is now picked up, the vehicles must drive all the way down here through the city, over this bridge, all the way up there to the steel plant. Of course, it would just be much quicker to hop over this water and just drive along that stretch of road. So let's do that. I'll leave it on 60 because right now that is the speed limit of the vehicles that we have. So it just makes sense. We can just go straight out of that, and then this is quite expensive, admittedly, but now we know we won't use ships here, so I won't even bother with raising this bridge higher up. And let's see, 2 million. What's the speed of this? I don't think it really affects the vehicles. Oh well, let's buy the more modern one. There we go. And then we just hook up right there again to the rest of the network. Right there, that'll do. I mean, it could look a bit prettier, but that's okay, it's functional. So now that we've done that, we just add more lines. So it's a whole string of lines, but that's what they ask for. So we'll pick it up there, drop it off there. So this is iron. Then a new line that picks up the coal from right down there and then brings it up here. Coal. Then there is another new line that takes the steel from the plant down to the machine tools factory. And there is another line to take the machines to the plant that it's needed at. So just machines. So yes, to do this with a rail system would be quite complicated, I think. It's doable, certainly, especially if you do some parts with vehicles, road vehicles, because, for example, now the iron to steel distance is quite short, so it's not really warranted. Of course, if you truly want to ramp up production, especially with an eye on playing this mission beyond the finish date, once it's done, you do always have the option to keep playing. Then eventually you could possibly ship your machines all the way up by rail to Vancouver, or by ship if you like, which would be an interesting prospect, certainly. I should try that one day. Anyway, it's just time to start buying some vehicles. So let's see, we do have quite a few millions, so I think we'll be fine. Let's just not mix up the crude oil and oil. So crude oil. This has to go quite a long distance, so we'll need quite a number of them. So this is crude oil, and then a number just to bring the oil. And we've used all the millions down to the plastics plant. We can let it There's the fishbowl. I always love this one, but it's not necessary right now. We just need a bit more money, so that loan is looking very intriguing. In fact, I'll take it. We say it's the profits from our oil business down in the south of the US, and why not use it? It's no penalty, so let's do it. And now I can just buy the rest of the vehicles, hopefully not spend all that money. So we have the oil and the crude oil, so now we need something to take plastic. And that's not so far. So this will take plastic to the machine tools plant. Then we need something to take the machines to the rocket facility. Just a few, that's very close, so I don't even need more than 4 or maybe 5. So this is just machines, and then after this we need the other whole steel system. So let's see, coal. Coal is quite a long line again. So that's good. It's good to name it the product, then you don't have to worry. Then we need the iron as well. Not as many because it's a bit closer. And then finally steel. That's not this one. Let's just see, where is steel? Okay, is there anything that I missed right now? I feel like I missed something. I don't think so. Let's let it run and see what happens. I can put it on the fastest speed now because we just want to see if everything starts working. There we go. Oil is waiting, so it's seeing that line. See, is there anything with nothing? No. Coal is now starting to wait. Iron is there. And I think, is that all the raw materials? Yes. It's the oil, the coal and the iron. And then of course, once that's picked up, then only it can be processed. So we can even make a shortcut here in the road. Just to take it to the plastics plant a bit quicker. Just cutting this corner here. Then I don't think that's necessary anywhere else. I'm quite pleased with this bridge, by the way. It's just something I really like, especially these really longer bridges. So I don't think we can call this a river really. This is like an inlet. It's a very interesting map. You know, I wish that the random map generator could create things like this. That would have been spectacular, because I think there is a need for that. Especially because as it stands, the random map or free game map generator never really has large bodies of water, and when it does, it's always connected by road anyway, and it's always just a very small river. Something like this would be very interesting, because now Victoria, for example, is on its own, and really there is no other option except extensive bridges or ships and air, so it really has a preference for the latter. And that would just add such an interesting dimension to the free games. But anyway, that's just one of my things on my wish list.
Outstanding! All the scientists made it to the Congress. The exchange was very enlightening and has advanced our nation in the space race.
Great, but of course we can continue taking people there. Now they just want to go to the ski resort, not a conference anymore. So yes, they're still there. Maybe it was a bit of overkill with so many buses, but anyway, we'll see. What's the situation with our profits? Let's find out. Okay, yes, it's no point looking at this yet. Steel, all of these are too new. Where's the ski resort? Okay, it does make a profit, so it's alright. Wow, there's a lot of construction materials, and now the route is much longer, so I think we need to add some more vehicles. There's the comet now. Can we buy it again? Yes, we can. And now you see it's not 11 million anymore. So we pretend this is now the upgraded model of the comet. So if we would like, we can buy more. Maybe I should scrap the super constellations. Time is up. So yes, 30 minutes have passed by. Let me just end off by getting more construction materials for Seattle. It's a source of profit. There we go. We can do the same with the machines once this plant no longer requires them. Okay, yes, let's stick to the 30 minutes and I'll say thank you for watching. Do let me know if this 30 minutes thing is working better in your view. And have a fantastic day. Hope to see you in the next episode.